Hi, welcome to the podcast. My name is Jezrel, and this is the first episode of Analyzing with Jez. Today, we will be analyzing the elements present in the award-winning musical play written by French author Gaston Leroux, entitled The Phantom of the Opera in the genre of Gothic horror. The plot of The Phantom of the Opera circles around the story of a masked figure named Phantom, who lurks beneath the catacombs of the Paris Opera House, exercising a reign of terror over all who inhabit it. He makes himself known by sending letters to the managers and by causing disturbances. On the retirement gala for the old opera managers, opera singer Christine attracts the attention of her childhood sweetheart Raoul. One night, during a performance of Faust, with the resident prima donna Carlotta playing the female lead, the phantom causes Carlotta to lose her voice and the chandelier to fall into the audiences. Christine is kidnapped by the masked phantom. He tells her his name is Eric and reveals his love for her. When Christine unmasks the phantom out of curiosity, his ugliness shocks her. The phantom decides to keep Christine as a prisoner for the rest of her life, but then he allows her to leave after she promises to wear his ring and remain faithful to him. Christine later tells Raoul that she was kidnapped. Raoul promises to run away with her, but both were unaware that Eric has been listening to their conversation. During a production of Faust, Eric kidnaps Christine again and gives her an ultimatum to marry him or he will blow up the entire opera house. Christine refuses, but then she finds out that Eric has been kidnapped, Raoul, and has trapped inside a torture chamber in order to save them. As well as the occupants of the opera house, Christine agrees to marry and kisses him. Eric, who has never been kissed before, has overcome with emotions. He then lets Christine and Raoul go, letting them to marry one another. After that incident, nobody has met or even sees the phantom. The phantom has vanished, and all that remains is his mask. Now, let's talk about the characters of the play. First off, Eric, otherwise known as the Phantom. He is the tragic titular character who is physically deformed and may be interpreted either a tragic hero or a tragic villain. Eric falls in love with Christine, but expresses his feelings in harmful and at times disastrous manners. Next off is Christine Deye, the main female protagonist of the story. Christine is originally from Sweden. She is the love interest of both Eric and Raoul. Raoul de Chanier, the Viscount of the Chanier, and Christine's childhood friend. When they meet years later, after Raoul watches Christine's performance at the opera, they fell in love, get engaged, and make plans to elope. Here is Carlotta, the spoiled and vain Spanish prima donna whose performance was sabotaged by Eric the Phantom and was replaced by Christine. Now let's talk about the thought. This play is a story of rebellion against society. It is shown by the Phantom's obsession with revenge, is spurred by righteous anger born from the conviction that society has rejected him. Second is, life is a masquerade. This states that most of life experiences is an illusion to one degree or another. We have another one, the critic of social class. The conventions of horror as a metaphor for the unfair results of social class and its rigid distinctions is obviously presented in the play. Lastly, the duality of obsession. In the play, obsession is being defined as not inherently good nor evil. It just depends on how you directed it. It's either in a positive or negative way. In terms of the dialogue or the diction of the play, the characters used an English language. Most dialogues were in lyrical form with outstanding emotions by the characters. The lines also were conveyed amazingly with proper dictions. In terms of the music in the play, they used intense and sustained moods depending on the emotions portrayed in every scene. They also used songs such as Overture, Think of Me, Angel of Music, The Mirror, The Phantom of the Opera, The Music of the Night, Prima Donna, All I Ask of You, Masquerade, Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again, The Point of No Return, Down Once More, and lastly, Learn to Be Lonely. To reinvigorate the sense of large-scale, grandiosity, and spectacle in Phantom is successfully achieved. The costumes which the characters used were sumptuous and plentiful, lending the show much of its sense of pageantry. The lighting, unusually for such a large show, is largely done from the side, emphasizing the production's fusion of opera and ballet with musical theater. A few technical tricks were added to the show's repertoire, the music and the lyrics. The spectacle is often breathtaking, but ultimately it doesn't have a larger point other than to provide an evening's diversion, which it does with the great gusto. And that ends our podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on our first episode of Analyzing with Jazz. Please send your analyzation requests to any of my social media accounts, and I'll see you in my next podcast.